Hey guys, what's up? How are you? Now, if you watch my videos, you probably know something by now. You know how I talk about all the time how I learned English with the Script of Friends and House of Cards and The Crown, how learning English with the Script of Friends helped me to speak English fluently, but I never really fully talk about the second material of my learning English process, and that is House of Cards. You know that after practicing with friends for about 6 to 8 months, I started learning English with House of Cards. You know that, I always talk about how many words I learned, with friends and a House of Cards. Now, as you can remember, if you watch my other videos, you know that you probably remember that with House of Cards, I learned English with House of Cards for about 3 to 4 months. And in every single episode, I was approximately learning 300, 50 words, per episode. At the end of 4 months, I had learned, almost 3,000 words with House of Cards. Learning English, practicing with House of Cards was really important for me because it really helped me to advance my English in a very short amount of time. It helped me to learn the words that normally is very hard to keep in mind efficiently, without struggling. My learning English with House of Cards process is gonna be the part of today's video. The second part of this video is gonna be, that I've been practicing with before sunrise and I didn't stop practicing with before sunrise. So in today's video, I'm gonna put a clip from my previous studies from a few weeks ago where I practiced with before sunrise. I studied with before sunrise with the script of before sunrise, and also I explained to you guys some of the important words meanings. While you're watching this clip, I will be on my way to a health center and I will see you outside, okay?
And so I run back inside and I tell my parents, and they sit me down and give me this big rap on how when people die, you never see them again, and how I'd imagine it. But
I run back inside, tell my parents, and they sit me down and give me this big rap on, how when people die, you never see them again, and how I'd imagine it. How when people die, you never see them again, and how I'd imagine it.
I don't know. You just kind of let me know how ambiguous everything was, even death.
And it just kind of let me know how ambiguous everything was, even death, It just kind of let me know how ambiguous everything was, even death. So, I don't know. Let's talk about the meaning of ambiguous. I didn't know what ambiguous meant up until today. I learned the meaning of ambiguous with before sunrise, and I want to talk about that. If something is not clear, there's a word and it's not clear, its meaning is not clear. If something is not clear and it's open to interpretations, if something has the potential to have more than one meanings, that means it's ambiguous. For instance, this example.
Good morning.
What do you mean? Do you mean to wish me a good morning, or do you mean that it is a good morning whether I want it or not? Or perhaps you mean to say that you feel good on this particular morning.
Good morning. What do you mean by good morning? Do you mean good morning, or do you mean that you wish it to be good morning? What do you mean by that? It's ambiguous. Let's say someone tells you oh, I lost my cat. I am so sad. What do you mean by that? You lost your cat? Do you mean as in death? Is your cat dead? Or do you mean your cat has gone missing? What happens? You can't tell what happened to this cat from this sentence. So this sentence is ambiguous. So it's open to more than one interpretation.
I'd say I wanted to have a refuge for stray cats, and he'd say veterinarian.
I'd say I wanted to have a refuge for stray cats, and he'd say veterinarian. I learned the meaning of stray cats from Kennedy. Street cats or stray cats? Probably street cats.
So I'm not gonna go looking for a kitten. It has to come to me somehow. Literally a month or two later, my mom found a stray pregnant cat.
So basically, when I was practicing with Kennedy, I learned the meaning of stray cats. There is a difference between stray cats and street cats. Street cats obviously live outside on the streets, outdoor, and stray cats also live outdoor. They live on the street, but stray cats they were living at home with their owners, but somehow they ended up living on the streets. Maybe their owner left them on the streets. Maybe they kind of escaped from home and started living on the streets. But basically, stray cats are actually not originally street cats. The cats that come from home life, indoor life, and end up living on the streets are called stray cats.
And then finally, I let go of the nozzle, and then I dropped the hose, and she disappeared.
and then finally I let go of the nozzle, you know, and then I dropped the hose and she disappeared. I didn't know what nozzle meant. I had no idea about the meaning of nozzle. So I'm not gonna explain the meaning of nozzle. I'm gonna directly insert a picture. For those kind of words, I directly look up the pictures of those words because it's meaningless to look up those words definition. So I directly search for the pictures. Okay, this is what nozzle means basically. Okay, now I'm on my way to health center. Last day I had a blood test, and based on the blood test I have, you know, B12 vitamin deficiency. So I'm gonna go get a shot, injection. It's not a big deal, and then afterwards I'm gonna go somewhere to chill. Maybe you may ask me like, Arsene, what do you listen to recently? Recently I've been listening to this presidential debate between Kamala Harris and Trump. I really love listening to that debate. Yeah, this debate is so entertaining. I love listening to the debate. I remember back in the day, like in 2017, when I first started learning English, I guess, if I'm not mistaken, Trump was in power. And I would listen to, you know, I would listen to Trump's addresses, and, you know, I won't be able to understand anything. I remember that I won't be able to understand anything that he was saying. And that was one of the reasons why, actually, you know, after learning English with friends for about like 6 to 8 months, I started learning English with House of Cards, because I felt like when I watched news, you know, when I listened to BBC or CNN or PBS, you know, I wasn't able to understand anything because of the vocabulary. Because of the House of Cards, I am fully able to understand this debate. I know every single word that they are using in this debate because of the House of Cards. It is so peaceful. I love this time of this year, at this hour. This park is so peaceful. I love it. Let me tell you a quick story. You know, 7 years ago, my purpose of learning English was to do my master. In order to do my master, I was gonna take the TOEFL exam, and after passing this exam, I was gonna get accepted for master, you know. So basically, 7 years ago, when I first started learning English, my initial goal was to do my master. After I started learning English with friends for like 6 months, or like, you know, 6 to 8 months, obviously I started speaking English. You know, I started make basic sentences, and I was really comfortable expressing myself when it comes to my daily chores or, you know, daily routines, etc. But after practicing with friends, I was like, dude, you know, I feel like I don't make any progress, not in terms of speaking, but in terms of vocabulary. For instance, as I said to you guys while I was on the way, I told you guys I was listening to Trump's addresses, you know, in 2017, and I wasn't able to understand the things that he was saying. Now, if you know anything about TOEFL exam, you know that you need to have a very massive, very rich vocabulary. So basically, I knew that I had to know many different vocabulary from many different topics, various different topics. So this is why I was like, okay, you need to understand the news. This is the most important thing. You need to understand BBC News. You need to understand PBS News, CNN, and not just politics. Every single thing that is going on in our world. I knew that I should have had a very rich vocabulary so that I could understand various different topics regardless of what I listen to. So basically my goal was to understand every single thing that I was coming across or I was listening to in my life, you know, whether that's a historical movie, whether that's a historical documentary, whether that's a, you know, political documentary, politics, or, you know, environment, media, global issues, social problems, you know what I mean? So my goal was to understand every single thing regardless of what I listen to. So this is why I started learning English. I started practicing English with House of Cards, so that I could expand my vocabulary. Now the thing is, after practicing with friends, I told you guys many times, I was like, Arsen, you need to learn vocabulary. You need to learn thousands of words. You need to learn new words. But at the same time, I can't stop speaking. Last day, some of you asked this question. Are you spending more time practicing speaking than listening? An English expert advised me that to speak English fluently, I need to spend 18% of my time on input activities like listening and reading, and the remaining 20% on speaking and writing practice. What do you think about this advice? Now, obviously, everyone has a different methods, and everyone should work with the method that works best for them. But if you look at my learning English process, now normally there are 4 components of learning any language, right? Speaking, listening, writing, and reading. But for me, in my personal journey of learning English, there was only one component of my English learning process. There's only one component of my English learning process, and that is speaking. While I am speaking, I need to learn new words, and this is, I think, the best way of learning new words. The best efficient way of learning new words. And also, while I am practicing with the script of movies and TV shows, even though I don't do reading activity, I don't read the lines, I repeat the lines without looking at the script, I still, in a way, improve my reading ability. Because before I started learning English with this method, I wasn't able to understand the books that I was reading. But after practicing with the script of movies and TV shows for a very long time, I was also able to understand every single article that I was reading or every single book that I was reading. So basically, my goal was to only focus on speaking. While I was speaking, I was improving my speaking skill, obviously, and vocabulary, and reading skill, because I practice with the scripts of movies and TV shows. And obviously, that every single time when I watch something or when I go outside, as I did today, I always listen to something. I always put on my headphones. These presidential American debates are incredibly funny, incredibly entertaining. I'm still listening to this debate between Kamala Harris and Trump. Like this part of this debate literally cracked me up, where Trump says,
they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
That was so funny. Okay guys, I just got home and set up my camera. Actually not my camera, my phone. And now I'm gonna do shadowing. Now it's right now 5 p.m. September 18, 5 p.m. You will probably be watching this video January or February. It's 5 p.m. right now. Normally, you know that if I do shadowing, I always do my shadowing at nights. But today, while I'm having my coffee and cookie, I want to do my shadowing. The reason why is because there are some important things that I want to show you from this shadowing. Now, while I'm doing my shadowing, I'm going to prove you guys. I'm going to prove it to you. Like, I'm going to prove and show you guys how learning English with House of Cards at the time, 7 years ago, helped me to improve my vocabulary or learn advanced words effortlessly, easily, and permanently. You know that Hassan Piker is a political streamer from America, and from time to time you saw me in my videos where I practice, I did shadowing with him.
When they run the narrative of immigration panic.
When they run the narrative of immigration panic. When they run the narrative of immigration panic. Guys, immigration. Now, immigration It's from House of Cards. I remember it from House of Cards. Imagine that this is me from 7 years ago.
Immigration, banking, or education, but none of my regular sources can confirm that.
Or I could say immigration, banking, or education, but none of my regular sources can confirm that. Or I could say immigration, banking, or education, but none of my regular sources can confirm that.
In the fiscal year 2024 so far, 23 homicides have been committed by undocumented migrants.
And in a fiscal year 2024 so far, in a fiscal year,
Oh, what happened?
I've looked over the budget for fiscal 13 and we've allocated 1.6 million for salaries. We need to cut that in half.
I looked over the budget for fiscal 13. I looked over the budget for fiscal 13. We've allocated 1.6 million for salaries. We've allocated 1.6 billion for salaries.
I try to do what I can. I care a lot about, you know, labor unions. I care about...
I try to do what I can. I care a lot about, labor unions. I care a lot about, labor unions.
Several dozen union sympathizers, led by labor lobbyist Martin Spinella, attempted to disrupt the gala.
Call the union leadership and the chapter presidents.
Several dozen union sympathizers, led by labor lobbyist Martin Spinella. Call the union leadership and the chapter presidents. I'm gonna give you guys other examples from the debate, from the presidential debate between Trump and Kamala Harris. I want to keep giving you examples how House of Cards was so efficient for me to understand the politics or news or media that I was listening to, or I was watching,
And I pledge to you to be a president for all Americans.
And I pledge to you to be a president for all Americans.
President of the United States. And I pledge to you, we will have that bill on the floor of the Congress within the first 100 days of this administration.
And I pledge to you, we will have that bill on the floor of the Congress. Within the first 100 days of this administration.
And I pledge to you, when Congress passes a bill, passing a bill. we need a bill we can pass. Garrett wants the bill on the floor in the first 100 days. He wants to make a pledge in his inaugural address. Can we make that pledge?
Garrett wants the bill on the floor in the first 100 days. He wants to make a pledge in his inaugural address. That's very ambitious, Linda. Can we make that pledge?
Thank you, Vice President Harris.
Thank you, Vice President.
Jim Matthews, his Right Honorable Vice President, former governor of Pennsylvania.
Oh, Jim Matthews, his Right Honorable Vice President, honorable. Oh, Jim Matthews, his Right Honorable Vice President, former governor of Pennsylvania.
This is, I think, one of the reasons why in this election I actually have the endorsement of 200 Republicans.
This is, I think, one of the reasons why in this election, I actually have the endorsement.
I got you hired, Linda.
I know.
Donations, endorsements. I wrote the campaign's entire foreign policy platform.
I got you hired, Linda. I know. Donations, endorsements. I wrote the campaign's entire foreign policy platform. I got you hired, Linda. I know. Donations, endorsements. I wrote the campaign's entire foreign policy platform. Guys, endorsements, if you're endorsing someone, that means you're supporting this person. If you have an endorsement for someone, if you're endorsing someone, that means you're supporting someone.
Taylor Swift on Instagram endorsed the Harris Walls ticket.
Taylor Swift on Instagram endorse Harris. Do you see how important it was for me to learn and practice English with House of Cards? So I learned the meaning of endorsing someone or endorse from House of Cards. Basically, I learned all those political terms the terms that are related to media, regarding the politics or media or social issues, the world problems. I learned all those important expressions and words and idioms from House of Cards and also from The Crown.
Just ask people who have worked with him. His former chief of staff, a 4-star general.
His former chief of staff, 4-star general.
Linda Vasquez, Walker's chief of staff. I got her hired.
It's quite rare for a president's chief of staff to climb the hill.
So, Linda Vasquez, Walker's chief of staff. Linda Vasquez, Walker's chief of staff. Walker's chief of staff. It's quite rare for a president's chief of staff to climb the hill. Okay guys, basically you got the point, right? The main purpose of today's video was to show you guys I did not only improve and learn English with friends, but I also learned and improved my English drastically and expanded my vocabulary in a very efficient way, you know, drastically with House of Cards as well. I'm not saying that you should learn English with House of Cards. You can learn with other TV shows based on your interest, obviously, based on your goals. By the way, let's say you have an advanced English, your English is good, you're speaking English so good. Let's say you're in politics, or maybe you need to make a presentation, you need to improve your presentational skill, you know. Maybe you're studying international relations or politics or something like that, or maybe you're studying media, whatever you're studying. Maybe you're studying art, maybe you're studying fashion or whatever it is. For instance, if I was in right now politics, and if I was in university right now, and if I had to make a presentation in English about politics or, you know, social issues, I would directly get the script of this video. I would directly create the script of this video and start to work on this video. I will check out the words that I didn't know, and I will make a presentation to myself based off of this video, okay? Yeah, I will summarize this video in my head. I will go over the topics, I will go over the talking points that they cover in this video, and basically I will improve myself. But as I said, in order to learn English in the most efficient way, in order to improve your vocabulary in a very drastic way, in a very fast and efficient way, like you want to learn words and you don't want to forget their meanings, I would highly recommend you practice with TV shows based on your interest. Anyways, that was the main point of this video. This is how I learned advanced words in English. Okay guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video with another video. Okay, bye bye.